I find it extraordinary that nearly a decade has passed since Britain voted to leave the European Union, and still our place in the world feels unsettled. We're neither confidently independent nor meaningfully engaged, and a reset with Europe was promised by Labour, but what has transpired is neither reset nor realignment. It's a diplomatic theatre without direction, a gesture without consequence. Why? Because such a transformation demands the two qualities that Sir Keir Starmer so palpably lacks: administrative competence and political charisma. Labour swept into government less than a year ago with a towering majority and a deliberately cautious message on Brexit. Starmer promised to deepen ties with Europe, but resolutely ruled out single market or customs union membership, let alone freedom of movement. It was a policy built on evasion, not ambition, the political equivalent of tiptoeing through a minefield while blindfolded, and unsurprisingly, the public is unimpressed. According to Ipsos, only 23% of the British public believe Brexit has had a positive impact. It seems that those are the only people who seem to be who seem to be commenting about Brexit on my channel, which is a bit of a shame. If I listen to all the comments here when I make a comment about Brexit, I would assume that I was absolutely in the minority. I'm not, I'm in the majority. 23% of the British public think that Brexit worked. And the rest of us think it was a disaster. Nearly half of Britain see Brexit as a mistake. There's some people who don't want to comment, but among Labour's own voters, that number is even more damning. 2/3 believe it was the wrong decision. The electorate is offering permission, is making a plea for a new approach to Europe. But Starmer is paralysed because the people who make all the noise are the Brexiteers, perhaps still haunted by the referendum itself, still haunted by Starmer is still haunted by his 2019 defeats when Boris Johnson said, "Get Brexit done, get Brexit done," and the mantra crushed Labour at the polls. What the British electorate likes is decision. What Starmer is offering is evasion. What Boris offered was decision and leadership. Now, Britain is crying out, not for some shadowy re-entry, but for the robust, pragmatic, mutually beneficial relationship with its neighbours that was dealt a death blow, almost, in 2016. This could include a customs agreement that streamlines trade, mutual recognition of professional qualifications, or joint cooperation on security and migration. All of that was supposed to be part of the Brexit arrangement, if you listen to Lord Frost. All of that has not happened. Instead, we are treated to woolly promises, substance-free summits, political choreography of Ursula von der Leyen posing with a Prime Minister who cannot seem to hold a line on winter fuel payments, let alone our place in the global order. Labour has bungled the opportunity for leadership. It's flinched on fisheries. It's negotiating food and energy access on the EU's terms, and yet it dares to dress this up as sovereignty. It isn't a reset, it's a regulatory reabsorption without the right to vote. And here lies the fundamental problem. Sir Keir is a technician, not a statesman. His answers are cautious to the point of cowardice. Asked about fuel poverty, he deflects. Asked about EU alignment, he blurs the lines. The man's instinct is always to hedge. But leadership, especially in matters of foreign policy and national identity, demands vision, voice, and yes, even conviction, and on this, Starmer is lacking. His refusal to own policy, his habit of vanishing behind Rachel Reeves and Pat McFadden whenever things get rough, makes him look weak. And when he does speak, it's often in linguistic, bloodless terms. You cannot imagine Britain's global role through footnotes and focus groups. That's not how it works. That's not how rhetoric works. There is, however, one figure in the cabinet who has oratory, who has the nerve and the clarity to make a case for a new European chapter, and that's Wes Streeting. He is unashamedly pro-European, publicly critical of Labour's muddled message, and crucially, unafraid to talk straight to both the public and the press. Streeting has the capacity to take the case for a rebalanced Europe debate directly to the public. To argue that sovereignty is not about control, but about choice. about having a say in the rules that affect our economy and our security. He's already won admirers for his candour on the NHS and public service reform. He could do the same for Europe. If Labour is to salvage its reset, it must do so with leaders who believe in Britain as more than a fortress of suspicion, but as an engaged, constructive and confident player on the European stage. So, the relationship between Britain and Europe cannot be rebuilt by stealth or managed through ambiguity. It needs clarity, it needs courage, it needs leadership. And Starmer, in his endless equivocation, seems unable to provide any of that. So the question remains, will Labour have the strength to let someone else lead the charge before the reset becomes a retreat? Because the alternative is not a quiet neutrality, it is drift. And in international politics, drift is decline. And we've done enough of that.